The next book is a little different to the previous ones that I've done. Of course, all my books go back to the ancient, so that's a common trait across most of my books. So this book also goes back to the times of not just Ashoka but also Samudragupta and Harsha and Maharaja Ranjit Singh and Krishna Deva Rai. So it goes back to various eras. But the bulk of the story, the main part of the story, is actually the conflict between two individuals. And I end up tracing their lives from 1947 up to the present day. So on the eve of independence to now, and how that ancient story connects back to both these individuals. For the longest time, I've wanted to do a book which would have a chance to explore the business world of India. Because if you really think about it, the Rosabal line was a theological thriller. Chanakya's chant was a political thriller. The Krishna key was a mythological thriller. The Sialkot saga is a business thriller. So it's a chance for me to have a little bit of fun. Think about it as Chanakya's chant in the world of business, not in the world of politics. So lots of cerebral stuff going on, lots of game playing, lots of strategy, all the sort of stuff that I love. There are a lot of people who ask me, is there a formula for writing a bestseller? I said, I don't know whether a formula for a bestseller exists, but there are three things that I look at when I'm writing a book. The first paragraph should suck my reader right into the story. The first para should do that. Most important para of the book. The next most important paras are the paras ending every chapter. Every chapter must end with a para that propels the reader to turn the page to the next chapter. And finally, your last paragraph of the book is a paragraph which should leave your reader satisfied. He should feel satiated, and it should make, from a marketing perspective, it should make your reader look out for your next book. So, if you can do these three things, then you've written a good book. Whether it's a good book or not, I don't know, but it will certainly be a best-selling book. But it's difficult to do these three things. So therefore, we are, the problem is that we are living in a world of reducing attention spans. If you had looked at the human attention span in the year 2000, it was an average of 12 seconds. By the year 2013, that had fallen to 8 seconds. What was even scarier was the fact that in that same year, if you had measured the attention span of a goldfish, it was 9 seconds, which means that a goldfish has a higher attention span than a human being as of year 2013. Now that's a scary statistic. What it means is that you need to find ways of keeping your reader involved. And the way that I do it is by keeping my chapters short. The idea being that a change of scene propels you to wanting to read. Because if that same scene is being read for a very long time, then there's a problem. It was the great Alfred Hitchcock who said that the ideal movie length is related to the endurance of the human bladder. Books are no different. You have to figure out as to what should be the right length of a chapter in order to make sure that the pages keep turning. I've always loved reading books where the pages turn themselves. You don't turn the pages. That's what I've tried to do with all my books. I hope I've succeeded with Sialkot also. As you rightly mentioned, the cover has two hands. One of them has a tattoo which says Allahu Akbar, and the other one is wearing a red moli, indicating that the person has just been to a temple or done some sort of a puja. So obviously the Hindu-Muslim factor is very clear out there. The point is that a lot of people have asked me that two very different views have come related to what the hands are doing. There is a certain section of people who believe that the hands are almost like a affectionate clasp, the way you would clasp hands as friends. And then there's another section who believes that it's an arm wrestle going on. And I'm not going to answer that question as to which is which. So it's when you read the story that you will realize as to whether it's an arm wrestle or whether it's a friendly clasp. There are two gentlemen. One is a guy called Arvind, and Arvind, of course, grows up in Kolkata, and he grows up in an aristocratic Marwadi family. So, with the proverbial silver spoon in his mouth, and grows up to be a very, very intelligent and a very wise businessman. And the other one is a guy called Arbaz, and Arbaz grows up on the streets of Mumbai in a locality known as Dongri, which is more famous for the fact that it produced Dawood Abraham. So Dawood Ibrahim also lived in Dongri, as you know. So it is the hotbed of the Indian mafia as such. So here is this Arbaz who grows up, but he also decides that he wants to be a businessman. And the book follows the trajectories of both these individuals, and it's interesting as to how their paths cross. Oh yes, their lives actually start a little before 1947, but the part that gets recounted to the average reader is the period between 1950 and 2010. So it's about a 60-year expanse.